What's going on, guys? Chuck back with another awesome Blu-ray purchase, and today we're going to jump in the ring and take a look at a newly released documentary from Vinegar Syndrome. Of course, that will be Glow, the story of the gorgeous ladies of wrestling. Um, I am very happy that Vinegar Syndrome released this documentary. Of course, it first aired, I believe, on Netflix several years ago. It was such a big hit that it was kind of the driving point for Netflix to start their series Glow, which lasted, I believe, was it just 2 seasons, 2 or 3 seasons, and it was canceled prematurely because it was a very good show. Um, and of course, it left really kind of like cliffhanger, and a lot of people were upset when it was Netflix unceremoniously canceled it. But regardless, this was kind of the what started all was this the response to this documentary. For those who don't know, Glow, of course, as I said, it stands for Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling, and this was a women's promotion. Um, well, it was obviously real wrestling, professional wrestling, but it was also really pushing more towards the entertainment aspect, um, more so than professional wrestling was doing. Then even the WWF back then wasn't quite as on the entertainment aspect as they say they are now. And this is kind of a I'm not gonna say guilty pleasure because that's not true. That doesn't give the credit it deserves. But this was something as a young kid when I saw Glow. Let me back up a bit. Okay, I first got into professional wrestling in 1985, and I was by seeing, I believe it was the second ever Saturday Night's Main Event. And from that point on, I was hooked. So I was 10 years old. Of course, Saturday Night Main Event was a big thing for me. It came on every few months. I'm gonna find basically it was the replacement for the off weeks when there was no Saturday Night Live. So like every 2 or 3 months, something like that. Of course, it came on at 11:30 at night, and NBC, an hour and a half, 90 minutes. So it's about 1 o'clock in the morning, and usually around 1 o'clock in the morning, Glow would be on, and I'm up watching. After watching, it's great. Roddy Piper, Hulk Hogan, all these guys, and I go over these women wrestling. And of course, I'm a 10, 11-year-old boy, and women wrestling. This is cool. Let's check it out. Because women's wrestling wasn't a thing. I mean, it was a thing. I hate it back. It was a thing. But it wasn't what it's become. I mean, some people say it still has a long way to go in terms of how it's respected and treated. But then it was basically a novelty act for most promotions. At least that's how it was treated. You didn't, there wasn't divas that would be later on or anything like that. You said basic women's wrestling. And this was the first time you really got to see women's wrestling on TV. And it was a different thing. It was these women who were having these matches in Las Vegas, looked like in a little hotel showroom. But they were also having these funny skits in between. And it reminded me a lot of something like Hee Haw. Dating myself. Where you had musical performance, but you also had performers doing these little funny comedy skits and sketches in between. That's what Glow was, and it was something about the late night syndicated weekend lineup as a kid. I got exposed to a lot of interesting things. That's something that made that night special. Glow was one of them. At a point, Freddy's Nightmares was on late syndication. The show Monsters, all these things. Actually, I think after Glow went off, the Monsters might come on if I could stay up long enough to watch that because like 2 in the morning. But it was just a fun show. I didn't catch it all the time, so I didn't really follow it. I mean, I caught it whenever I could, but then it just kind of disappeared. I didn't really know much about it. Fast forward to several years later, and it's kind of got a somewhat resurgence, I guess. You see some things pop up here and there on the internet. I think because of the internet, it probably found more of an audience again. Who, nostalgia is a big thing, especially for anything age related, and I think that really helped kind of resurface. Though, and somewhere along the line, this documentary came out, and I believe it was. I hope I'm right about this. Pretty sure. Again, it's been a while since I've seen the documentary. I have to check it out again. I believe it was Little Egypt, and I'm sorry I can't remember her real name. Was kind of the driving force to get this going, almost kind of reuniting some of the women and kind of telling their story, which is a fascinating story. One, you don't really realize what went into the making of this and what these women put themselves through for your funny little sexy wrestling shows that most people probably perceived it as. A lot of people, these women put their heart and souls into it. And this story really comes across in this documentary, how much it's really meant to them, and how driven they were. And you had great characters that are bigger than life who loved what they did. I mean, say what you want, whether they were comedy acts, whatever, they were part of the professional wrestling family. In the great big world of professional wrestling, it is a family. Whether they see each other or you're working in a different promotion, whatever, you're a wrestler, you're in that family, and they qualify for that. They went out there, they did their training, they learned what they had to do, and they went out there and, in some cases, some got severely hurt, and that's, real. But they were also trying to, put on a good show, and I think they were highly entertaining. And it's a great look back at a very fun time, I guess. And then, for me, it's a nostalgia trip. For a great time for me going back to as a kid. I remember staying up late watching this and thinking of that whole time period for me. It means a lot. And like I said, I'm really glad this was made. Now I'm going to ramble on. I'm going to stop right there. But so this is great slipcover for Vinegar Syndrome. Here's the actual image. There's specs in the back. One of the things, there's a lot of special features on here. If I can go through them real quick, we've got, of course, this is preserved from the original master. It's got archival commentary track with Billy Corgan and Smashing Pumpkins, along with Little Egypt, Matilda the Hun, who I think she's passed away at this point. I could be wrong. And Hollywood, the tag team Hollywood and Vine. You've also got the United Film Festival Q&A. You have outtakes, which is cool. You have the original trailer for this. But what I'm really excited about, as a special feature on here, is you've got 70 minutes of vintage glow matches, skits, and music videos. That is amazing. I am so excited and so stoked to have all that, because a lot of stuff I have not seen, again, since I was a little kid. And I'm so stoked to see that. You've got just the disc, and I believe, if memory serves, Hollywood and Vine as your image in the back. Again, if memory serves, it has been a while. I can't remember too many of the wrestlers. There's a few that I remember, like was it Mount Fiji, who was featured prominently in here. Of course, Matilda the Hun, the Farmer's Daughter. And of course, the big name out of here, I think it was her original by Tina Ferrari, and of course, she went on. Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank now. I'm so embarrassed. Ivory. She wanted to be Ivory in WWE and became a huge star. And I can't remember her real name off the top of my head. I'll put it right here. So I mean, that's, again, proves that these women were legit, what they did. People may have thought they were a joke, but they weren't. They were extremely legit. And I'm so glad that Vinegar Syndrome made this available so we can have this little piece of history in our collection, as opposed to this, being left on streaming on Netflix and where it may disappear because it's streaming. I've really got nothing more to say. I'm just kind of rambling, waxing nostalgic, if you will. But if you've never seen this documentary, I highly recommend checking it out. Even if you're not a fan of professional wrestling at all, this is a very fascinating documentary. Well worth your time. Highly enjoyable. Very entertaining. So I recommend you check it out. It's maybe, I don't know if it's still available on Netflix or not. It may be. I haven't really looked. I'm not sure. But if not, check it out. Vinegar Syndrome. Glow, the story of the gorgeous ladies of wrestling. So, as if now, if you enjoy this, click thumbs up, share, subscribe, leave me a comment below. Let me know if you watch Glow. Anytime you're like whatever, on bootleg videotapes, whatever the case may be. If you watched it when it aired in syndication, like as a kid or young man, whatever your age was. Like myself, like I said, I was probably 10, 11, 12, somewhere in there around that age. And it was a good time for me. It brings back a lot of great memories. So let me know if you have any of those, your thoughts in general, or just say hi. I'll always take hi. So until next time, this is Chuck saying, I will see you on the other side.